and welcome to 10 for 10, 10 sports topics with the News 10 sports team. I'm Griffin Haas, here with Brian Rudman. And it is March, and the madness has begun.
March, yeah.
I love, though, how it's March Madness, and it's really, like, obviously conference tournaments kind of fit into that a little bit, but it's really for the NCAA tournament, and it's starting March. Selection Sunday is March 15th.
Yeah.
The games start March 17th and 18th, are like the playing games.
Right,
So by the time that like we're playing first round games, it's going to be like March 20th. March is going to be over before you know it with the NCAA
It's like
tournament.
end of March, beginning of April, man.
It's called, it should be called Mapril Madness.
Mapril.
That name stunk. Anyway, we have our teams, 4 teams in our conference tournaments. So we'll run through them and preview them. And we have one that we can recap, which we'll start with the Albany women's basketball team because they did get their game in first. And their season comes to an end. And for the 4th year in a row now, it comes to an end at the hand of the Vermont Catamounts. Vermont wins it 55-40 at Vermont. And even in years past, so the 4 years before this, Albany, the women's team, was either a 1 seed or a 2 seed. Different story this year with them coming in as an 8 seed, a younger team that didn't find a lot of success in the conference. They were 4-12. And in years past, Vermont has been their bugaboo, let alone when it's, top seeded Vermont and Albany on a bit of a down year for them.
Yeah.
It was kind of, it was a tough spot for the Albany women's basketball team because they also haven't won at Patrick Gymnasium. Now it's 10 straight losses on the road to Vermont. And I think that this is a year that I think Colleen Mullen knew was going to be a little bit of a transitional year. Younger players, they lost a lot from their kind of perennial contending teams. And they played close in a lot of games, including this game. They lost by 15, but they were down 2 mid-third quarter. They played a lot of close games. They just didn't have that kind of wherewithal to finish those games.
Yeah, I think this is just, when it comes down to it, this year's group was just a young group that didn't have a lot of experience. Even the players who have been in these games and these spots are in new roles, right? Delaney Hill was a part of the team last year. She was a key part of it. She just wasn't the go-to player. And this year she stepped into this role and she stepped up. She had 17 points tonight, but the rest of the lineup, it was just, there wasn't much consistency in terms of who's stepping up on a day-to-day basis. And they weren't able to close out a lot of games. They were close in games, tight, couldn't find a way. And you could see, this team has talent. They were in a lot of these games and they had a really good non-conference season. It was just when they got into the America East, they struggled to close out games. And also, we've heard, Colleen Mullen talk about it a lot. This is as good as the conference has been. So it was a little unlucky for Albany. Like you said, it was, kind of a, retooling year. And it just happened to be in a season when the conference is as good as it's ever been.
Yeah. And we should also touch on the fact that the awards came out and Delaney Hill made 3rd team, Martina Perez made 1st team all defensive, but you also have the Rookie of the Year in the conference, Amaya Stewart, who also won 6th Player of the Year. So, there are pieces to build on, and obviously they'll hit the transfer portal as far as trying to get players through the transfer portal. That always happens year to year. So there's no doubt that this team under Colleen Mullen will be back. This was definitely a tougher year. It's a year that they're not really used to. When she first got here, it was a little bit of a learning curve for the first year, and then they really got rolling, and they've been rolling ever since. So this is the first year that they've really had to kind of wipe the slate clean. They've got some nice pieces. I mean, and Delaney Hill, she had a great year, 17 points of their 40 points. And that's the thing. They played defense. You're not going to win any game scoring 40 points. And and they know that. And their brand is defensive, but there still needs to be more shot making.
Yeah. There can't be 3 out of the 4 quarters where you're not reaching 10 points in that quarter. Yeah. It's just, you're not going to win many basketball games like that.
So they'll be back next year. Like I said, I have no doubt that as long as Colleen Mullen's there and they keep some of these pieces and just kind of refresh, that they'll be back, right back into contention.
Yeah.
But a tough end. And I know that at this point, just knowing that, any competitor, they've got to be sick of Vermont at this point. So I know that they're going to be looking to get back at them next year for sure. Let's go over to the Albany men's basketball team. They actually just ended their season with a loss at Vermont, but again, Vermont, one of the top teams in the conference in the America East. So they begin their America East journey 1 o'clock on Saturday. If you're watching this on Friday, that is tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And they will be the 5 seed going to 4 seed UMass Lowell. And it's tough to play on the road, and this could be a tough matchup. They lost by 10 at home to UMass Lowell. They lost on the road as well to UMass Lowell. Earlier in the season, that game was by 12 points, so not a team that they've had a lot of success against. Hard to beat a team 3 times, so you can hang your hat on that. And also, they've gotten Zach Matullo back, starting to get a little bit healthier. I think a big thing, and we'll ask at this point, we probably would have already asked because their media availability is on Friday, but is Jaden Kempson going to play? Because they just got Matulu back, and Kempson's missed the last couple of games, and he's been a big piece for them. So, again, how many guys are they going to have, and how full is that bench going to be against UMass Lowell? That'll certainly be a factor. But I think that the America East is relatively open, and I think it takes the team that gets hot at the right time, and UAlbany's hoping that's them.
Yeah, I agree. I think the America East, anyone can win it. I mean, you look at this UAlbany team alone, they've beaten Vermont and NJIT, 2 of the top teams in the conference, and they went toe-to-toe with UMBC on the road just a couple weeks ago. I think this UMass Lowell game in particular, I watched them play Lowell. I watched them when they were on the road. I was there when they were at home. This Lowell team is a physical group. The Riverhawks play a physical brand of basketball. It's a tough test for this UAlbany team because they have to match that intensity and physicality, and we'll see if they can. And I think it's a good test and a measuring stick for whether the strategy of scheduling really tough non-conference games at the beginning of the year is going to pay off. This is where they want it to be, is to be prepared for these kind of grinded out, really tough matchups in the postseason, and that's what they have on their hands on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think also, I think that UAlbany is capable of beating anyone in the conference, and I think they've shown that when they beat NJIT by a ton on the road. They beat Vermont earlier in the season. Like you said, they went toe-to-toe with UMBC. Their best effort, I think, can beat anyone. I think for them, especially in the totality of the tournament, it's about can you string those performances together? Can you come out and do that against UMass Lowell and then do that in the next round and continue to do that until the end? And also on the road where they have not been great. They're 4-12. Now, a lot of that is non-conference against tougher teams. So I don't have their conference road record in front of me, but you do have to take that with a grain of salt because a lot of their, at Columbia, at FAU, at Yale, or that was a neutral site game, but at Rhode Island, a lot of these games at Marquette, those were tougher spots. But the point stands that you're gonna have to do it all on the road, and that's a challenge. That's a part of not getting that top 4 seed like they did last year. They took a step in the right direction last year, getting that home playoff game, and they talked about building on that. Now, it becomes about, breaking through and winning multiple playoff games in a row.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, you look at it, well, they didn't get the home playoff game. They are the 5 seed. They were a game away from having another home playoff. I think there was
2 games? 2 games.
2 games?
Yep, they finished 2 games back.
Okay. All right. So it wasn't like they took a massive step back. I think it was just they're pretty much right at the same spot they were last year. I think the injuries certainly hurt them. They were playing with a really thin bench, and I think it took them a minute to adjust to that down the stretch of the season.
Yeah.
I think having Matulu back is huge when you have to go on the road because he's such an energy guy. You watch him play. He fires this team up. He plays, with so much passion. I think if him being back in the lineup is huge for this UAlbany team. If they can get him going, if they can get one of those big plays from Zach Matulu early on to kind of get the team into it, silence a crowd, and kind of get the bench fired up. I think that could be big for this team, especially because they're probably going to have to win 3 games on the road in order to win the conference.
We're going to talk Siena coming up after the break. All right, welcome back to 10 for 10. And we are now on to Siena. And we'll start with the Siena men's basketball team. And I think it would be safe to say, this is no disrespect to any of the other programs. Obviously, one's already out, so no disrespect to Siena women or UAlbany women. If you had to, bet on one team having a clear shot at winning their conference tournament, I think Siena could have the best bet. Not just because of, I think the UAlbany men have a shot, Siena women as well. The Siena women, obviously, their conference has two very tough teams. We'll get to that in a second. But Siena, if you just look at it from a Vegas perspective, they're like plus 350, where Marymount's
I think
plus
they had
210, and then everyone else is like plus 600. So that shows Vegas has respect for them. And they've just played really good basketball all season long and have gone kind of toe-to-toe with the top teams in the league. They have a ton of talent. They have experience of playing there. But I think before we get even to that, we got to talk about Antonio Chandler, because that is it's a big
deal.
And whether he's going to be able to play or not. It's kind of a weird situation where you found out he wasn't playing on Friday, and it was kind of strange. They couldn't really give a reason. And then on Sunday it comes out, then eligibility issue has been brought to the attention of the NCAA. Now this is nothing that I've heard or nothing that I have no idea what the issue is. Timing seems a little weird.
Yeah, a little bit.
All of a sudden somebody brings this to the table, no one knows who it was, or at least we don't know who brought this to the NCAA. We don't know how this question arose. A little weird that it happens 2 games before the MAC tournament.
Like
that's
3 days before the regular season ends.
All of a sudden, someone's like, we should probably look into this. And all of a sudden, Antonio Chandler he averages 7 points for the year, 5 rebounds. He's been a solid player all year long.
Yeah.
The last 3 games, he's averaged 17.5 points and 9 rebounds per game. And then all of a sudden, there's an eligibility question. Again, I don't know. But it forced him to miss his senior day, which stinks, because no matter what this issue is and however it gets resolved, we've talked to Antonio Chandler before, and he's nothing but a great kid. And, hearing how highly Jerry has spoken about him, being disappointed in him having to miss his senior day and now potentially miss the MAC tournament. It's just a shame, because it doesn't seem like it's anything nefarious. It's an eligibility issue in this era of college basketball. There are a lot of eligibility questions.
Right, yeah.
Guys coming back from the G League and playing, all of that stuff. Again, we don't know the details of this, so I'm not trying to speculate on what it is. More so just saying that this kind of stuff is unregulated largely. Yeah. And now this kid is one of the kids who has to suffer.
Yeah, that's, in large part, the transfer portal has been good for a lot of players being able to seek out other opportunities, but it's like you said, it's very unregulated. It's kind of a gray area with certain things, and we have no idea what's going on with Antonio Chandler, what the reason for this eligibility issue is, but it just seems it's weird that he's played the entire season, and now 3 days left in the regular season. Now we have the eligibility issue, and now we're going to make the kid miss his senior day, which that stinks. And now it's like, we're days out. We're 5 days out of the MAC tournament.
I'll just say, I would love to know who brought this up. I don't know what the issue is, and I don't know who brought it up, but it's like, really? ripe for. If this has been a problem, why is this problem just
right?
now?
Yeah. Why wasn't this a problem
But
in November?
And so on Thursday, Siena Vice President, Director of Athletics John Dargenio put out a statement saying we're exhausting every available resource to resolve Antonio's eligibility status. Our focus remains squarely on ensuring he has the opportunity to compete in the MAC tournament this weekend. He has worked incredibly hard for this moment. We are doing everything in our power to ensure he can join his teammates on the court. Above all, our priority is Antonio. Now, that's a very nice message, and again, reinforces the fact that this is a good kid who's worked hard, done all the right things. We're just trying to get him on the court. It's also, we don't have an update right now because they don't. They're waiting and trying to figure things out and pushing for it, but they don't. There's not a lot of time. Time's running out to get him out there. And again, I will also say we could be recording this right now. And
yes,
Friday
this is
morning,
also true.
We should add Friday morning. It could come out. This issue's been resolved. He's playing. Or he's not. We don't know. So
we're recording this at midnight on Thursday, ladies and gentlemen.
12:45 a.m. because we wanted to wait until the Albany women's basketball game ended while also letting Brian get home from covering high school hoops in Glens Falls. We are grinding. The grind.
Welcome to March, ladies and gentlemen.
The grind never ends. So, bottom line is I was at the availability today and talked to Jerry and Gavin, Doty, and Justice Schultz about it. And, they're preparing for a world where they have him and they're preparing for a world where they don't have him. And that's tricky in its own right. They have had 2 games without him to kind of get used to it. I think that's obviously not a benefit, but if it's going to happen, nice that they had that. And they have plenty of talent if they don't. And Jerry said, if he can't play, the guys who are going to have to step up are guys that have made plays for us all year long, are guys who have made impact plays. It might mean, more minutes for Riley Mulvey, who's a veteran. It might mean more minutes for Isaiah Henderson, who's looked good in stretches. And it might mean, even though it's not positionally different, like Christian Jones needs to step up.
Right.
There other guys are going to have to carry a little bit more weight, or just the stars, Doty, Schultz, Coyle, those guys are just going to have to take up another level. There are ways to do it, but at the same time, Jerry's also this guy is a really smart player. He understands the scout. He does everything the right way, and he's been playing really, really well for us, and it stinks to not have him, but if we don't,
it puts the team in a tricky situation because, like you said, they have to prepare hoping that he's there, but also knowing that he might not be, and then who steps into that role, right? Do you go with the bigger lineup and is Riley Mulvey getting more minutes and you leave Folafak at the 4 and then it's still, Schultz, Doty, Coyle, or is Folafak now playing the 5 like he did early in the year when they were dealing with some injuries? We'll have to see, and I think it does become tricky because, matchup-wise could affect them more in one game or the other. For example, it's like we'll take if they get to the championship against Merrimack when they're facing 40 minutes of zone. It's like, how does that affect their strategy when they're attacking that zone? Because I know a lot of it was, a lot of the backdoor cuts to Antonio Chandler and Francis Folafak.
He was great.
Right? So and now listen, that's 3 games down the line. They still got to get through Mount St. Mary and
he had 18 points in there and 12 rebounds.
Right.
In
so
overtime game against Merrimack.
I think first point being, Antonio Chandler seems like he's a great guy. Every conversation we've had with him is nothing but positive. Everything Jerry said about him is nothing but positive, and you just hope it works out for the best with him. From the team perspective, it becomes tricky, and, having those 2 games without him may benefit them if they get to Saturday and Antonio Chandler's not there. And you also hope that there's no rust for Antonio Chandler if he is able to play, having missed the last 2 games.
Yeah, and in terms of, and what I think would be good for him is he does play a very physical, attack the rim brand where he's not going to be relying. Obviously, he can make shots, but relying on
he's not the
making.
rhythm shooter. Yeah,
it's like, hey, let's get it to him on the baseline. And he's going to throw it down in your face. So as far as the matchup with Mount St. Mary's, they played Mount St. Mary's only once this year. And, I asked Jerry about that, and he said, it is a little different than playing a team that you've seen twice. There's less tape. adjustments that can be made. There's less to look at. They beat Mount St. Mary's 67-50 on the road, so obviously encouraging there. I think one thing, we were just talking about the lineups, and we were talking about potentially not having Chandler. And in that game against Mount St. Mary's, Jerry, I think it was very interestingly noted, that was the first time that we were able to experiment really with the two bigs having Mulvey and Francis Folfack in at the same time. So in that game, Mulvey played 25 minutes off the bench. Antonio Chandler had played 16 minutes. He was 0 for 1. So he did not have a huge impact on that game. They're still able to win, where Mulvey was, had 5 points, 9 boards, and Folfack had 15 points. I found it interesting that is something that Jerry pointed out and made a point of pointing out, because if you're trying to figure out what direction they're going to go in with their lineups, I think that's a little telling that he said, that's the first time we used that lineup and it worked. So,
I mean, Mulvey had a good day. He had 5 points and 9 boards off the bench against Mount St. Mary. So I think that they have a great chance with Chandler. Without Chandler, I hope that he can play more so for the kid, even than the team. Obviously for the team as well, but it would really suck to see. That would be a terrible way to end your collegiate
someone
career.
like that who's done all the right things and has been, again, we've talked to him, he's a super nice guy, and for him to, end his career like that would be very disappointing. But we'll be pulling for him and hoping that that issue is resolved positively. Let's go over to the Siena women's basketball team. And it's going to be a tough task as they try to figure it out without Francesca Shiro. They won the last 2 games of the season, which I think is big as far as getting some momentum. They beat Ryder. They beat Marist. I think they've started to figure it out a little bit. And when we talk about experience, and one thing I meant to mention with the men's real quick, just going back to that, I'm going to flip back real quick. I think one thing that helps them is having guys who have experience playing in Atlantic City.
Absolutely.
Playing in a tournament. Coyle's done it. Doty and Schultz did it last year. I think that always helps getting into that regiment of what, knowing what to expect. Back to the Siena women's basketball team.
It's a different world when you're down one location, just a marathon.
This is one of the great things about the rundown is I can go back. I can talk about that.
Oh, there you go.
Back, forth.
Griffin has way too much power during this show, ladies and gentlemen.
We're skipping. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Straight to hockey.
Siena women's basketball. So they, in terms of the experience, they don't have as much. They have Valencia Fontenelle Pawson, who has played in it before, but they have a lot of younger players. So they're going to have to, get used to playing in that kind of environment and playing in a winner go home scenario. I think when you look at the matchup, so they're the 5 seed, they get the 4 seed Iona. This is a team that they played not too long ago, just on February 19th, and they lost by 9 at home. This was a game in which they went 3 for 13 from the free throw line.
Right.
Terry Prim's and he said he likes the matchup, their head coach, and he was like, we missed 10 free throws in that game. He's like, I don't think we're going to miss 10 free throws again.
Yeah.
Which is a fair point. They also went 1 for 11 from 3. So it was a bad shooting game.
Even without Shiro, that's uncharacteristic for this team.
Also, in that game, Azira Gates, who's the freshman from Albany, did not play. They were trying to figure out, minutes and since, Shiro's been out. And she's kind of carved out a nice role, in the Fairfield game. She went 6 of 7 from the field with 12 points. She's not putting up monster. She had 5 assists in a win against Ryder. Not necessarily the monster numbers, but a nice bench guard without Shiro to kind of help run things. So I think they found...
It's productive minutes from Gates.
I think they've found themselves a little bit more in the last 2 games in terms of how they want to play without Shiro after dropping the first 4 without her. So figuring out the right time, I think we'll see what happens with Iona. And then Quinnipiac and Fairfield are going to be very, very tough.
Yeah. Even if they were fully healthy. I mean, those 2 teams are just really
Fairfield is ranked... Let's put it this way. Fairfield is ranked in the top 25 nationally, which for a mid-major, relatively rare, and especially
really impressive
in the MAC. They are the 2 seed in this tournament.
Yeah.
which shocked me the other day because I forgot Quinnipiac beat Fairfield. They split, but whatever the tiebreaker is,
Yeah.
it went to Quinnipiac, who's also been really, really good, who only has the one loss in the league. And so you have a team, if you had told me that, hey, the 2 seed in the MAC tournament is going to be the 25th ranked team in the country,
Yeah.
I would be like, that doesn't make any sense.
No.
I would like to inquire about that. So, yeah, either way, if they beat Iona, they would get Quinnipiac theoretically in the next round. So it's going to be tough. You never know. It's March.
Right.
But I think getting experience, too, in this game, and if they could even just beat Iona and go from there, that would be, I think you'd feel nice about where their season was, especially the team that started out 0-7 on the year, that salvaged, sure, they were 13-16, but they were 11-9 in conference. They really salvaged, and that's without their best player for a stretch of those 4 losses.
Yeah.
They really salvaged their season after what looked like an inauspicious start.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes, we get caught up in once we get into conference play, we get caught up in, where they're at in the standings and what's going on in this team. And, when Shiro went down with the injury, that's obviously a huge deal for this team. We forget how young this group is. I mean, Francesca Shiro's was second in the conference in scoring and 4th in assists in a conference that includes a team that's ranked nationally, by the way.
Yeah.
Once again, just to reiterate, this is a good conference, and Siena has talent. They were just a really young team. I remember when they played the Albany Cup, Coach Prim talked about needing to find offense. They found that offense, and they found something that was working for a really young team. It's a shame that, your starting point guard and best player and catalyst for the offense goes down with a season-ending injury, and you don't really get to see what they could be. But regardless, this year was a really good building block for a team in Siena, which, similar to UAlbany women's basketball, graduated and lost a lot of their talent, and this was pretty much a completely new roster this year.
Yep. So, best of luck to all of the local teams. Obviously, we cover these teams, but we like to see our local teams do well.
It's fun when our teams are winning.
When they win, we get to cover them when they're winning. We like to do that, and we don't have necessarily rooting interests, but we like to cover winning teams. So, best of luck to all of them in their conference tournaments. We are going to quickly talk about high school hoops and then hockey after the break. Welcome back to 10-4-10. And obviously, we just talked college basketball, but high school hoops.
Yeah.
We are in the swing of it.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we're doing this at now 12:57 a.m. Because Brian was hustling at Glens Falls. The girls' games got pushed back again today due to weather. And listen, we are not going to break down all of the high school basketball games as much as we would love to. We would be here for quite a while.
This would be like a 3.5-hour program.
3, 4, 5. I'm just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 classes on each side. So we can't do that. What I will say is that there's nowhere you should be going for your high school hoops coverage more than News 10.
This is true.
Because we have already been all over it. We are going to be all over it again this weekend. I am in this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm usually a Monday through Friday guy, but sometimes
calling the big guns.
You gotta just loosening my arm. Mariano Rivera coming in. Throw a couple pitches. No,
there you go.
Tommy and Brian will be doing the hard work. But we're going to be getting pretty much every single game. I think there are maybe a couple semifinal games on the girls' side in the morning that we might not be able to grab just logistically, but every championship game we will have. We're going to be all over it, and we haven't had a ton of upsets yet, but it is going to start getting these games down the stretch. The semifinals have been good. These championship games are set to be quite fun.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Section 2 as a whole throughout, there aren't many tournaments where there's a clear-cut team that's ranked so much higher than the rest of the teams in the state. There are a lot of these tournaments where it's very balanced, and that's pretty exciting. I mean, tonight, Thursday, we had 3 great games up in Glens Falls. Lansingburg took down Glens Falls in a good game. Hudson edged out Averill Park, and then in the nightcap, it was a thriller. Went down to the wire. Amsterdam over Troy in the first AA final. I mean, and we even we're just getting started. It's just getting
Brian,
good.
we can't go through them all.
I know.
We can't go through them all. I know you want to. I know you're just rearing to go right now. But we will be here all day.
This is true.
If we want to, break down. You know what? Let's do it. Let's go game for game. All right. Amsterdam. I'm just kidding. And also be checking our website because we're putting if you're missing our live shows, we put everything online. We're gonna have all the highlights there. Again, we are going to be getting
everything.
A whole lot of basketball. Everything
yeah.
we're talking about, but that's on top of the college stuff.
Yeah.
And speaking of college stuff, let's go to college hockey because we'll be getting highlights from these schools as well. Union and RPI on the men's side beginning their playoff journeys this weekend. We'll start with Union. Just missed out on a top 4 seed in the bye. They had 36 points. Princeton was in 4th place with 37. And they, Union took care of their business at the end of the year. And I think if you're Union, you're disappointed with not getting that spot. But if you look at their last, beat Colgate, beat ranked Cornell 4-1, beat Harvard 4-1, tied Dartmouth, lost on a shootout, but still got a point there, beat Yale, beat in a crazy comeback win, and then took care of business against Brown. They've won 5 of their last 6, and got a point in all 6. So
gotten points in
their last 7 or no 8. Yeah,
8 because you go back to the overtime loss to Clarkson, the win to St. Lawrence. Yeah, I'd say they're peaking at the right time.
Yeah, so they're playing really, really well right now, and they're playing a Brown team. They beat 3-0 and they beat 4-0. Now, on the flip side of that, and we were actually talking about this about their availability, you don't have to look far to find a team that was the bottom seed in the standings that pulled an upset over a team that's playing really well. The Union women were the worst team record-wise in the ECAC, and they stunned Clarkson, who was ranked 12th in the country. And they're an example that anything can happen in the playoffs in any sport, but particularly hockey.
Yeah.
So, talking to them this week, Union, they said, we're trying to treat it like another game, not gripping our sticks too tight, but we know that this is win or go home, and you got to take care of business. I think it's important, and it always sounds silly to be like, you have to get out to a good – you want to score goals early. You want to score goals before the other team can score goals and continue to score them while the other team does.
It's an interesting theory.
But I do think that getting out to a good start and getting the monkey off the back early at home, getting a lead and being able to kind of command the game, I think is important in a game like this. The longer the game goes on where you don't have the lead, the more Brown starts to believe. The crowd starts getting apprehensive. Players start getting tight. Just go out, bring it to them.
It's that classic, let's be honest. Union's the 5. They're playing the 12. They beat Brown twice. They're expected to win this game. The longer you let Brown hang around, the longer they start to believe. I also think you look at this Union team, as well as they've been playing, they have got caught in this run of getting off to a couple of slow starts, right? They fell behind Yale. They fell behind Dartmouth. That Colgate game, that crazy 7-6 win, I believe they were behind. They were behind Clarkson in their overtime loss. So I think it is important just for this team as a whole, because when they have got caught, even in this good stretch, it's been because they've gotten off to slow starts. So I think it is important for them to jump out in front. I also think because they got swept at home last year in their quarterfinals, their only playoff game. So I think it would be important for this team to kind of score early and kind of just relax and get into the flow early. With that being said, I think this is a team that should beat Brown, and the Union women beating Clarkson is also good for them in terms of just a reminder, anything can happen. They're not going to be overlooking this Brown team.
Yeah, and listen, if they can take care of business, Union has shown that they can beat, just about anybody. They beat Quinnipiac, who's the number 1 team, 8th-ranked team in the country, 4-0. They beat Cornell, who's in 3rd place.
Yeah.
They
went on the road and beat Princeton.
They beat Princeton. The one team that's been their bugaboo is Dartmouth and has ended their season multiple times in a row, and that would be a hang-up. But they just took them to overtime. And again, they're showing that they can win against good competition. So if they can win this game, and, all of a sudden, you take care of, you pull one upset and you go to Lake Placid and anything can happen.
Right.
So I think they have a good chance to go on a run. I have a beef that I want to talk aloud about the ECAC website.
Okay.
Or the way that they posted this bracket. And you can tell me I'm wrong because it is 1:04 in the morning and maybe I'm dumb. Well, look, that's a whole other podcast. But
that'll be a whole other episode of 10 for 10.
Number 1 Quinnipiac. It says number 1 Quinnipiac versus lowest seed.
Yeah.
And then on the other end of that, Princeton versus highest seed.
Yeah.
I know what they mean, but highest number seed would be 12. So Princeton versus highest seed.
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It should be versus lowest seed. Princeton would play if Union won, they'd play Princeton. Princeton's the lowest seed in terms of number, in terms of seed. Highest seed would be Brown, who's 12. Do you understand my point?
I understand your point, and it is a little confusing. But I think in general, when we say top seed, you're talking about...
It doesn't say top seed.
I know.
It says highest seed.
You're right.
That's a different word.
This is true.
That bothers me.
Okay. I see where you're coming from.
I got gripes with that.
All right.
I think that they maybe I don't know. I don't know how they should say it differently, but I think it should just be flipped. For Quinnipiac versus highest seed.
Yeah, but even that could be confusing because Union is the highest seed that's playing in the opening round, rankings-wise.
They're not the highest seed, though.
Well, the 5th is the highest seed out of the rankings.
Yeah, but the 5th is the lowest number.
I know the 5th is the lowest number, but 5th is higher in the rankings.
But that's rankings, not seed.
I'm using rankings and seed interchangeably here.
We can't use rankings.
Why not?
Because they're using seed. They're not using rankings.
Okay, well, Union's the highest seed in the tournament that's playing this weekend.
No, Brown is the highest seed.
12 is the highest number. 5 is the higher seed.
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I don't think I agree with that.
I understand your gripe. I'm just saying.
I don't like the terminology there.
Okay.
But
when we're talking about when we do high school basketball, when we talk about 3 seed and 4 seed, who's the higher seed?
When we talk about I was going to say when it goes to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And the first round of upsets happen. The first round happens. Who's the highest seed that won? What's the biggest upset? Who's the highest seed? Oh, the 12 seed won. Yeah, I'm right. I'm right. It's true.
I guess
what's the highest seed?
But they say lower seed. The higher seed, the 1 seed's a high seed. Every time you talk about seed, the 1 yeah.
You'd say the lower seed advance?
Yeah.
I might have a problem with the whole thing. I might be tearing this whole
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when we record 10 for 10 at 1 o'clock in the morning.
We might need to revisit this. I don't know. I feel like when they hold on, let me go to Google. Highest seed to win NCAA tournament game. Highest seed to win an NCAA tournament seed is number 16 seed. Google AI overview.
All right.
Okay, I am going to ruin my own point.
Yeah.
The NCAA has one that says the lowest seeds to make the men's Final Four, Elite Eight, and Sweet 16. So I guess that settles that. I think I have a problem with that.
Okay.
It's the higher number.
I can understand it because it is the higher number.
We should end this. We should really end this. We should end this discussion because when I have to try to cut down this episode
we still have to talk about RPI here.
I mean, yeah. RPI, let's just go to them.
They're playing their best
hockey. In 20
hockey.
years, save this because I'm going to end up on the right side of history. Clarkson. They're playing
goodness.
Clarkson. And listen, RPI, not the greatest season in terms of they finished 11-22-1, and they were 8-13-1 in conference. But they end the year on a 3-game win streak. They lost to Dartmouth by 2. Before that 3-game win streak, they beat Colgate by 5. They took Cornell, who's ranked in the country, to a shootout. They're playing some good hockey at the right time, and there's no reason why they can't go into Clarkson and pull an upset. Clarkson only finished 3 points better in the standings. They're right behind them. So this is a pretty even game.
Yeah.
In my opinion, especially.
Yeah. And I think especially because
late.
RPI's beaten Clarkson twice this year. This is a team they've found success against. You mentioned it. RPI's playing their best hockey at the right time. They've won 3 in a row, won 4 of their last 5, gotten points in 5 of their last 6. They're playing good hockey. And I think as the year goes on, all right, we still got to remember this is the first season under Eric Lang. There were a lot of new faces on this roster. It took them a while to gel. And I remember when we talked I went to cover one of I think it was their second game of the regular season. It was on a Saturday. They played Miami University. They lost 5-0. And I remember Coach Lang talking about how his teams typically get better as the year goes on, and that certainly seems to have come true. This team is playing their best hockey at the right time, and they were slow. They were still in position. I don't want to say in position. That's not the right word. In contention to get a home game if a couple of things broke their way down the stretch. They didn't, but RPI took care of business, and they got to be feeling confident going into Clarkson this weekend.
I'm not going to lie. I've been thinking about seeds this whole time.
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect to RPI because I think they have a great chance to win this game. And I know that I'm incorrect in terms of obviously when I know the higher seed in the rankings means like number 1 is the better ranking. Obviously we know that. That's not what I mean. I have a problem with that.
I'm back on the
seed thing. I'm back on the seeds because we've been doing this for how long? Why can't we just say the higher rank the higher ranked team or the better ranked team? Seeds, I'm coming for you. We're gonna take a break. We'll be right back. All right, we got to go a little quicker because we talked about seeds for so long, and I will say, I guess I'm not going to apologize to the ECAC for the way they wrote it because I still think that it could be written better, but I do acknowledge that the higher seed is the number. We're going to stop talking about seeds now.
Moving on.
We got to stop doing this at 1:15 in the morning. DJ Moore traded for the Bills make a huge trade today, acquiring DJ Moore from the Chicago Bears.
Oh my
a big target for Josh Allen and Buffalo. And I definitely don't want to be hypocritical in the terms of I think that we've been very critical of they need to go out and make a move and get a wide receiver and blah, 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 blah. I think his second round pick's a lot. And I know they got a 5th round pick back. You know, DJ Moore's a good wide receiver.
Yeah.
DJ Moore's 28, not old, but getting older. And he had 682 yards last year in 17 games, which is not exactly a number 1 receiver. And like I know they had a good offense, and Adunze I think was the standout, and Luther Burden kind of
stepped up into that role,
to make DJ Moore take a step back. Now you can look at that 2 ways. You can look at it and say, well, yeah, that's why he didn't get as many looks, but also he wasn't necessarily better than those 2 guys.
Yeah.
The year before he had 966. He has 4 years of 1,000 yards or more. He's a good player. I like DJ Moore. And he played for Joe Brady in Carolina, so they have that continuity. So obviously he likes him.
Yeah.
A second round pick seems to be a lot, and you have to give to get. I get that. I'm wondering if maybe there would have been, could you have gotten a little bit of a better player for a second round pick? But I do understand you got to go for it, and at some point, picks be darned.
Yeah, I think it goes back to kind of the strategy the Rams were using when they won the Super Bowl of, listen, let's just go get good players. And I think I agree, a second's a lot to give up. That's a valuable asset that the Bills gave up to get DJ Moore. But at the same time, you look at Josh Allen and, you have a Super Bowl window as long as Josh Allen is playing at the level he is. But you don't know how long that's going to last. For Bills fans, Bills fans hope it's going to last another 10 years, but you never know what's going to happen. And I think right now you have the chance to go compete for a Super Bowl, and that's why you got rid of Sean McDermott. So you bring in the wide receiver. And the other thing is, if I'm a Bills fan, I'm saying, where was this in October? Where were these moves? Not that you would have gotten DJ Moore, but we knew we needed a wide receiver a year ago.
Yeah, my thing is more so not about the move for a wide receiver, but also for me, the type of wide receiver where getting DJ Moore is I know Bills fans make jokes about Joe Brady throwing a bunch of screens, but does that mean a bunch more screens are coming? Because that's DJ Moore, a smaller, faster receiver. You have a guy like that in Shakir already. DJ Moore is more of a downfield threat. I personally think that the Bills, and they still could make moves, and this could all change, and then I might look at it differently. I think that they're missing a physical downfield threat, and also a guy with some size and some speed. What they thought Keon Coleman was going to be.
Yeah.
And adding another 6-foot receiver next to Khalil Shakir, there's Shakir's your underneath guy. Moore can do some of those things, but also does other, he's a little more of a deep threat. They don't have that, physical big target where Josh Allen should be pushing the ball more downfield. And I still don't think they have the right personnel for that.
I mean, for right now, in the way that it would be structured, Shakir would be the slot guy kind of underneath. DJ Moore can stretch the field a little bit, and I think that is kind of the hope with bringing him in, is that you can stretch the field. Also, just spread the defense out a little thinner. But right now, still their big physical guy would be one of their tight ends, who, granted, we know Josh Allen does like to throw to the tight ends, especially in the red zone. But yeah, I would agree. They don't have the physical, just, we're on the 5-yard line. We're going to just throw a fade up and go let our guy win the jump ball.
Yeah, like I said, don't get me wrong. DJ Moore can do more than Shakir in the downfield passing game, and he has the speed to do it. Yeah. I think they could benefit from a little more physicality of the position, but they can still do that and round it out that way. We're going to go quickly with a couple more NFL topics. We'll start with Breece Hall.
Yeah.
Franchise tag officially.
Good.
Had to do it.
Yeah.
We don't need to get too much deeper into that.
Needed to have him.
Stephon Diggs cut by the Patriots. It really was about money.
Yeah.
It was going to escalate to $26 million.
Yeah, this is just what happens with veteran guys
Stephon
sometimes.
Diggs. And listen, we don't have to get into it, but he also has off-field stuff to resolve that you're definitely not committing $26 million to.
Right. Yeah.
And then Aaron Glenn fell asleep at the combine.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Was
he sleeping? Do you think he was sleeping?
Yes.
You think he was sleeping? Because now there's a big campaign against the sleeping.
Can his superpower be?
He was looking down at a tablet.
Can his superpower be staying awake
Do you believe that
doing his job?
That he was looking down at a tablet? Yes or no?
No.
I think he might have been sleeping.
Yeah, I agree.
Aaron Glenn. You know what? Jets fans wish they could sleep, but they're up all night because of the job that Aaron Glenn is doing.
This one is up because we got to do 10 for 10.
We'll be right back. Our seeds conversation is costing us, so we got to pick up the pace a little bit here.
Was it worth it?
No, it wasn't. And I also, listen, I have a problem with the whole infrastructure of seeding now, I'm going to take this fight to the streets. Jayson Tatum expected to make his season debut against the Mavs tonight. If you're watching this on Friday. Incredible, less than 10 months after tearing his right Achilles tendon against the Knicks in that semifinal game. We'll see how they ease him back in. And this is a Celtics team that you're never going to say, I would hate, like, would they be better? Should they just not bring back Jayson Tatum? They're playing really well. It's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life because he's, like, really good at basketball. But they have been playing really well, and this does integrate a new piece, but they have plenty of time to do that now going into the playoffs of working this team back around Jayson Tatum, and it might be a more even mix now, which I think is good because Jaylen Brown has really emerged as a top player in the league. Yeah,
I mean, listen, you never want to see anybody go down, but if this year has provided anything, it's seen guys on the Celtics step up. And I mean, listen, 41-21 record without your best player is just incredibly impressive. And they can kind of ease him back in without having to worry about, all right, we really got to win this game. It's, they can still win games with or without him. So there's not going to be that much pressure. He can kind of ease himself back in. They can figure out how they want to run this offense this year with Tatum coming off the injury, but Brown being the primary guy throughout most of the season. I mean, listen, we've talked about it all year with the Celtics. It's incredible that they're in this spot. Having Tatum out and getting Tatum back probably puts them into as one of, if not the favorite, to come out of the Eastern Conference and potentially win the whole thing.
World Baseball Classic. Are you in or are you out?
Oh, man, I love the World Baseball Classic.
You can watch it on Fox.
I think it's fun.
WXXA, 8 o'clock. It's a shameless plug. Yeah, listen, I'm excited. I'm excited to have competitive baseball. I think it'll be more exciting as it ramps up down the stretch. I think there are a lot of teams that are not very competitive that are going to get crushed, but the USA is not one of them.
No.
So that's going to look good. Real quick, I got to find them, but there are just some fun notes about these teams. One of them, how about Ruben Tejada? Playing second base for Panama. Had his legs snapped in half by Chase Utley in 2015 and was barely ever heard from again. And now guess what? He's back, and he's playing second base for Panama at 36 years old.
That's pretty cool.
Justin Morneau, the hitting coach for Canada. Remember him?
Yes, I do. Shout out the Twins.
This is now a segment called Member Him. Alexi Ramirez, remember him?
Yes, I do.
He's playing infield for for Cuba.
That's impressive.
He's 44 years old. Unbelievable. Let's go to Team Israel. Kevin Euclid, remember him?
I love Uke.
Bench coach. Venezuela's got one of the great coaching staffs. Let me tell you about Venezuela's coaching staff because I'm unfamiliar with their manager, but their hitting coach is Miguel Cabrera, and their pitching coach is Johan Santana. Remember them?
Yeah, I take that.
Johan Santana, give him the ball. I think he's still
Miguel Cabrera should be DHing,
I think he's still got some innings. The Netherlands, their manager is Andrew Jones. Remember him? I remember him. Their infielders, Didi Gregorius. Remember him? Yankee fans remember him. Italy, their manager, Francisco Cervelli. Remember him?
Oh, yeah, what a legend.
Their assistant hitting coach, not even their hitting coach, is Jorge Posada.
That feels like a lower position than he should have.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know how he didn't get the hitting coach job.
I'd like to meet the guy who got the hitting coach position over Jorge Posada.
So you want to meet Frank Menachino?
I want to see what this guy knows, man.
He must know a lot.
He's got to be a smart dude.
For Chinese Taipei, pitching coach Ching-Ming Wang. Remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, former Yankee. We love Ching-Ming Wang. I think that basically does it. Brazil, Dante Bichette Jr. Is playing. No Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
So tough luck, Brazil, on that one, I guess.
Because they were going to be real competitors otherwise.
Yeah. So listen, there are some Yadier Molina the hitting coach or the manager for Puerto Rico. Juan Gonzalez, the hitting coach. The other hitting coach, Edgar Martinez. Remember him?
Oh my
Sandy
God.
Alomar Jr. Man, this coaching staff can play.
This is one of the best parts about the World Baseball Classic is that just everyone just gets a job for like 4 weeks as a coach and then moves on. I think the best
member him is Alexi Ramirez.
Oh yeah,
playing infield at 44.
How is he playing?
I really don't know. He hasn't played. He didn't play. His last major league game was 2016.
Jeez.
Just after Ruben Tejada has his legs snapped in half. And that'll do it for this edition of 10 for 10.
Feeds and remember him.
Shout out Ruben Tejada. Mets great. Chase Utley. We will not forget what you did to him. Terry Collins tried to have his back. One of the great rants of all time. That'll do it for a late night edition of 10 for 10. We'll see you next week.